Yeah, we're living in very strange times where individuals like this that are having deergasms, yes, deergasms, are in charge of what you can and cannot see online. And on the completely other side of the spectrum, we have individuals like this that do not restore my faith in humanity. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Changed News Show. And in this video, we got a lot to talk about, not just the strange, the weird, the crazy, but of course all the latest updates that are important for you to know, especially with news of a major new lockdown in China, a very interesting theory by Dr. Zack Bush that I wanted to go over, which delves into the possibility of pollution having a more of an effect on everything that we are dealing with than we previously thought. We're of course going to be talking about the different approaches to this sickness, which many people say should be naturally played out, while others want the government to get more involved, to use the military in order to forcefully stab you in the arm with a quote cure. Yeah, living in very strange times, to say the least. But before we go forward, I wanted to remind everyone to check out the Brave browser. If you download it and use it, you yourself get cryptocurrency, and so do we. It is a privacy-focused browser that I personally have been using. There's also a very easy way to tip and contribute to content that you like. It is something that this YouTube channel is connected to, and if you choose to use our referral link and use this for, I think, 3 months, we get $5. And if you donate to us with the cryptocurrency that is given to you, we sincerely thank you from the bottom of our heart, since of course it continues to allow this operation to be run for free for you every single day. Again, this is completely free and software that I personally use and think you would really like to use as well. So yeah, if you have 5 minutes, definitely check out the Brave browser. It's very easy and convenient to get started with. Now, just jumping into the latest information, things have definitely been very hectic, to say the least, and that's why it's important to remind everyone where we stand, and I think this diagram correctly does that. But there's been a lot of people that have been highly emotional, and that of course is an example of our very uncertain times and positions that everyone is in, whether it is their health, their freedoms, or their finances. It is, again, in my opinion, important to prioritize all of these important factors for yourself, and the best way to do that is to, of course, be informed to what really is going on to make the right, proper decisions for yourself as an individual voluntarily. And that's very hard to do today because of so many conflicting news reports. Case in point, in one instance, we're hearing that states that have opened up are seeing a rise in this supposed sickness, while other states are seeing a decline in the numbers, with allegedly Texas, North Carolina, Arizona seeing cases spike up, and allegedly, again, Georgia, Florida, Wisconsin, and others reporting low numbers. And I say allegedly because there has been a lot of, quote, finagling on both sides, to be completely honest. Some people are saying the numbers are overinflated, some people are saying the numbers are underinflated, and let's be honest here, depending on what state or what government official you're talking about, there's evidence suggesting that both of these incidences are true. Case in point, in Florida, a woman was fired because she refused to, quote, censor data, according to her, refusing to, quote, manually change the data to drum up support for the plan to, quote, reopen. There's also been documented cases that the numbers are being overinflated in some cases and incidences, while, of course, we still have the big question about what is a legitimate test or not, especially with the latest revelations coming from Tanzania, where the president decided to test fruits, cars, and other inanimate non-human objects that came back positive for this sickness. And of course, there should be skepticism all around, especially when it comes to government, especially when it comes to bureaucracy, and it should be given out all around, not just so it suits your confirmation bias. The testing and determination of this is still very early and extremely unclear, and with any data, with any statistic, it can be manipulated for a particular cause. There's a lot of people saying that this is extremely dangerous, while other people are saying it is not. And again, that also all depends on where you're from. If you're in New York City like I am, of course, you're going to have a different reaction and different examples and different experiences than, of course, someone in Wyoming, or even someone in California that, of course, hasn't been as heavily hit as New York. And instead of jumping the gun, we should try to empathize and to see where individuals are coming from based off their experiences, because again, both scenarios here that we are laying out, that we're talking about, could be completely true. And as a side note, I even yesterday decided to get tested for antibodies when it comes to this specific sickness that everyone's dealing with right now. And talking to my doctor personally, I asked her, hey, what's the deal here? What's really going on here? And she looked me square in the eyes and said, no one really knows. And that is definitely not a reassuring answer, but that's the situation that many people are in right now, and we have to acknowledge that and understand it and not push for a certain outcome because of our perceived biases. Now, on top of all of that, we are getting other reports from other countries like Russia, Brazil, and India that is allegedly showing a spike in cases. Again, I say allegedly because the tests have to be put up to question here, and we have to understand that there are many variables here. But one of the things early on that raised my eyebrows to everything that was happening was, of course, the reaction from the Chinese government that, of course, was very heavy-handed and very serious from the very early onset of this. And it looks like China is continuing that very heavy-handed approach, as we're getting information now that about 108 million people are now back on lockdown, as now residents of Wuhan are being retested again, as citizen journalists are continued to be disappeared, arrested, and detained for trying to report what is actually happening from China, which I think should be known for the rest of the world, but it's not because of the very clear and atrocious censorship actions by the Chinese. Now, many people say China is dealing with a second wave. Some people are even saying a first wave because when this outbreak first happened, they stopped all travel domestically from Wuhan while allowing international travel. According to some, this was one way of safeguarding their cities, but now it's why people are explaining how this sickness is spreading, since some people theorize that this sickness will, quote, burn out naturally and will play out its course as previous coronaviruses have, usually running on a 2-year timeline, rapidly emerging and rapidly going away. Which brings me to a very interesting theory brought together by Dr. Zack Bush. He's a doctor that, of course, we had on this YouTube channel before, and he did a very interesting interview on the Haywire show where he talked about the possible links of air pollution with this sickness, specifically bringing up how the Hubei province that has been most heavily hit by this has been also using a lot of Roundup. Dr. Bush also made a prediction that this would be where the next kind of pandemic comes from, and it looks like he was accurate on that analysis. He also talked about a recent Harvard study that looked at the people who died from this sickness and the level of air pollution that they were exposed to, which according to this Harvard study laid out some conclusive evidence that this is a very big predictor of death when it comes to this sickness. And according to his theory, again, it's a theory, it hasn't been scientifically proven yet, it's a belief that's out there, it could be correlated that because of the zero pollution that has happened because of the lockdowns, this led to numbers in China being so low and in other places, and how potentially a bigger uptick in pollution could potentially create an uptick in the sickness. Again, very interesting video by Dr. Zack Bush. Definitely recommend you could watch it, and I will be tweeting this video on my Twitter account, Luke We Are Change, if you want to watch it. But after talking to my doctor, other doctors, and listening to this interview by Dr. Zack Bush, this is overall bringing me to a consensus that this sickness will play out its course whether we like it or not, and that it's inevitable to stop. And I think this is the general consensus that is growing all throughout the scientific community, which again totally refutes the whole theory that we need a, quote, vaccine immediately to fix this. Again, studying previous pandemics, they come and go. They have a devastating effect on human beings. But now, not only with the devastating effect of this sickness, we also have the bigger economic calamity that is coming our way and will have a bigger detrimental impact on everyone. The health effects are one thing, the economic effects will be more severe. And again, this is something that I've been personally saying from the very beginning of this. And we have to remember, this happened because of government. Not this sickness, but because of government. Not only rewarding reckless behavior on Wall Street, with the Federal Reserve now bailing out hedge funds and all these other banksters that put us in this very dangerous situation. Squirrels are more responsible than the banksters of our day and age. They at least save some nuts for a rainy day, while, of course, these Wall Street guys are absolutely lunatics. Don't provide any service and create money out of money in their own Ponzi scheme that is extremely dangerous and put us on the precipice of total economic calamity. Along with a power-hungry, overreaching government, enforcing lockdowns, going after you for being in nature, telling you it's even illegal to swim in the ocean. On top of all of that, we have an utter recipe for disaster, as of course there is a good argument to make here that the government made this situation that much worse than it needed to be, and now there's many civil liberties and privacy concerns that do deserve to be addressed. All of this while, of course, the U.S. military is buying up vials for 300 million Americans, as Donald Trump is telling everyone the vaccine will come and it will save everyone, as he's preparing the military to rapidly deploy all throughout the country in order to, quote, save you. And again, whenever the government says they're going to save you, oh boy, that's really a time to not freaking believe them. And again, many studies, including this Oxford study, came out and showing that a vaccine here is absolutely futile. There never has been a vaccine for this kind of coronavirus ever. To think that there will be, and that somehow we could stop nature from playing out its course here, while individuals like Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein's prime-time lawyer, the man who arguably allowed him to continue his monstrous actions unabated, is going around telling everyone that the vaccine is coming, you have no constitutional rights to resist it, and it will be mandatorily stabbed into you, injected, all, of course, for your safety. And that is the future that I say hell no to. That's my particular take on it. If you thought was wrong on anything, let me know why in the comment section below. I'm always here for the conversation. I'm always here for the dialogue. No one is perfect. No one gets things completely right 100% of the time. But with these uncertain times, it's best to be intellectually honest. That is what I am striving to do here. If you thought I did, share this video with your friends and family members, because if you don't, no one else will. And because you do, I'm still here. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.